This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Is there a sports podcast in Detroit that people are talking about?
Hey, everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
Thanks, everyone, for downloading the latest edition of DocNJock. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, my cousin Adam, the Jock Strozinski. I got a feeling, cuz this podcast that we're about to record might be more of an emotional one, especially with the content that we're about to break into. Unfortunately, everyone has been processing the death of NBA legend Kobe Bryant. It was really a story that just crushed everybody involved, especially knowing that, 8 other people lost their lives on Sunday. We'll share our experiences and what Kobe meant to the NBA, meant to us as people. And I think that now is the appropriate time, as you and I discussed in previous weeks. You're back, you're in studio recording, and you had said in maybe 3-4 weeks ago that at a certain point you would share what has happened, what led you to return back to Detroit. And this is the episode. You're going to want to stay tuned. In about 15 minutes, we'll talk about some things as it relates to you on a personal level, and we'll get into that. And then the second half of the podcast, what we will do is, it is still a week that is very important in the sports world. It's Super Bowl week, so we got to talk about all the noise that's coming out of Miami and break down a little bit as to kind of what we think in regards to San Francisco taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in a game that I think could be very, very intriguing. So just want to start off by saying welcome in. I always look forward to the day that we record podcasts, cuz.
Yeah, man, I was kind of pumped for this one. You're right, though. I think it's going to be a little bit of an emotional episode. I'm going to do my best when I go to explain what all has been going on in my life to kind of keep it together. We'll see what happens there. But Sunday was a weird day, man. Sunday was rough. It was extremely rough for me, and I'll explain why later. But the news of Kobe Bryant passing, man, it was shocking. I was standing in my mother's living room and I was getting ready to head out the door. And I happened to look down at my phone, and you had texted me, and you said, I think you said something like, "Did you hear about Kobe?" And I was sitting there, I was like scratching my head. I was like, "Wait, what?" Mind you, I had Sports Center on, or I know I had the Indiana Maryland game on, and CBS cuts in just as I sit there and read the message you send me, and they break the news that Kobe Bryant had died in a helicopter crash. And then I was like, whoa, like I was just numb. I was shocked. I was taken aback. I was floored. And then as the day kind of progresses, there's more and more reports coming out about it. And you find out his daughter was involved, and you find out that there were other parents and other children involved. And all of a sudden this becomes this massive catastrophic incident. Like, it was bad enough Kobe died, right? But then his daughter dies. And then you have 3 other sets of parents and children that end up passing away as well. And this is something that totally could have been avoided. Like, there was no reason for you to fly in a helicopter when you've got that much fog. So one of the cool things I've been able to do in my broadcast career is fly around in a helicopter.
That's what I thought of. I wanted to ask and get your insights because you've been in helicopters quite a bit in inclement weather. That's the part I wanted to get your insight on is, do they, risk it, or do they say, there's this fine line, or how do they approach inclement weather when you're going up there?
So we have rules. We had rules when we flew, and everybody kind of has different rules when they fly. But for the radio stations and what we had, you had to have a minimum sight line, right? So visibility had to have been at least I think it was 7 to 10 miles. And then,
so what is at the discretion of the pilot?
A lot of times, yes. If the pilot's willing to do it and you're willing to do it, then you can go. But we had rules and we had things that were set in place. They were flying with VFR rules. So basically it is whatever you can see in front of you is what you're flying with. You're not really using any radar. You're not really using anything else. You're just basically flying essentially blind. And it's scary and it gets really, really dangerous. There were a couple times where we had either snow, rain, or dense fog, and we've had to turn around, and it becomes really, really difficult. It becomes really strenuous on your pilot. I had one of the best pilots there was. Lath was an absolute fantastic pilot, and he was a dude who was pretty chill in most stressful situations. But there were times where you would be flying into something, and you could just tell, like, the anxiety just gets ratcheted up, and everybody's kind of on pins and needles. So what they were flying in had to have been absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And I think it just kind of speaks to the type of person Kobe Bryant was, right? By any means necessary, we're going to get there. We're going to do whatever we've got to do to get there. We're going to get to the whatever has to be done, we'll get it taken care of. And I think to his detriment, and probably the detriment of everybody else in the helicopter, it ended up costing him his life.
Yeah, see, I'm terrified. I can't even spit it out. I'm terrified of flying. I don't like it. I don't like the feeling. And from what I'm reading, I'm more hypersensitive to the movement of the plane. So others can just tolerate the ups and downs. And I've kind of seen videos of how planes track through. So when there's turbulence, the plane keeps moving forward, but it's like going up and down, left and right, in the manner in which the plane has to track to get to where it goes. And I'm hypersensitive to it, where I feel it and my stomach drops. I get real nervous and it just triggers really a bad feeling in me. So, to share, the last time I got on 2 flights, I took Xanax, the very lowest dose. So it killed the butterflies for me. And it was amazing. And so I can see why people do it. I didn't want to knock myself out. I'm not going into the hardcore stuff where I'm like passed out, but the butterflies in your stomach are so bad that the Xanax just erased it. So I got to watch television and enjoy the flight, but it's bad. And I just don't like flying. I don't like the feeling. And to hear what happened and it potentially could have been avoided, that day for me, day of my sister's birthday, and I have a photo because I saw it instantly the moment it got tweeted out. I was there right on it because I was kind of searching and just looking up stuff, and all of a sudden I came across the photo. I screenshotted it, and it was released at 2:24. I snapped it I screen grabbed it at 2:26. I'm like, this doesn't seem real because juxtaposed, the NFL has been dealing with a plethora of hacks. So I thought, this is just a hack because this can't be real.
Yeah.
No one's going to put that out. And then a minute later, they're tweeting about something else, TMZ, that is. So I thought, okay, it's not real. I'm looking. 3 to 4 minutes later, no one's really talking about it yet. So then I went to the search bar on Twitter and I typed in Kobe death, and people are starting now to see the tweet. They're going, no, this isn't real. Is this real? Is this real? Literally about 2:35 is when it started picking up traction on Twitter. And that's kind of how it goes, because there's this 5-minute window when you put out stuff where the algorithms of Twitter let people start to see it. So when you put out information, the reaction's not going to come at its full force for some accounts until like 5 to 7 minutes later, where people start to see it in mass. And so people started to see it, and then people that were coming to the house were seeing it and talking about it, and we're like kind of confused and looking at it. And then all of a sudden you started seeing the big names like Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN, CNN, Fox starting to confirm it, and you're just like, oh no, it happened. It's
really,
real.
It's really weird too, because TMZ is usually first on all of these stories.
They say on LA, if it's a death story, they got it. It's right. It's right.
And then
sick too, because of their sources.
Everybody else has to confirm. So like you'll see, so ESPN, right? Adrian Wojnarowski, if I butchered it, I'm sorry.
Polish guy.
Right, for real. You'll notice that they have to go through their checks and balances before they can get out there and get ahead of it. So the news breaks, okay, cool, this is what's going on. Can we find another source to confirm it? And then next thing you know, everybody's just snowballs, man. Then.
And then what's tough
it's
too
absolutely crazy.
is that a lot of people have commented negatively on how the media reported it. And I heard the ABC report live, and we commented on it. He said, did he just say all the daughters were on the board? And we're like, no, he didn't. So we rewounded it. We listened to it. And he did say, Gutman, the reporter from ABC, on the phone, he said, it is believed that all the children were on board the plane. They just go. And then people with ABC News, within moments, people are like, ABC News reports all the children are dead. And that won't spread. Yeah. So ABC News is not, a podcast network. ABC News is a gold standard of news, and a reporter said something that got picked up on a massive scale.
But again, read between the lines. It's believed.
Yeah, exactly.
So he didn't confirm, it's believed. And then what happens is people hear what they want to hear, and then they twist it.
Exactly. But
so no, I get what you're saying, but
you can't. But most people were saying you can't even say those words.
Well, you shouldn't.
In a matter of life and death.
Not until you double verify.
And I'll ask you this quickly. What about TMZ, the organization? You get this information. They obviously are always going to roll with it, but they don't care. It's fascinating to me because, I couldn't do it. Even if I had information that I knew was going to get 4, 5, 6, 7 million views, and it was a matter of life and death, I couldn't do it. I couldn't push the button. Not knowing that, I don't want someone to know information from my website that's in a matter of life and death. Critiques, videos, highlights, news, no problem. Get it out there, get it first. I get it. It's important. It has value. But a matter of life and death, TMZ is shameless, bro. I can't believe that they would actually, know that they can sleep at night knowing that the family found out that a loved one died via a tweet and via information from a website before. And that's really, you can't blame TMZ. They're a for-profit business. But it's frustrating to know that people at a scene will just go and start, messaging for dollars TMZ to get information out there. That's how they do it. It's no secret. They'll
pay you.
Yeah, they'll pay you. They have a large group of tipsters, and they advertise, hey, if you got a tip, let us know, and they'll compensate you. That's just how they do it. Most sites don't do that. Most won't. They do it openly, and that's why in LA, around that 30-mile zone, that's why they get all the scoops in regards to the drama and especially the celebrity deaths. You're going to hear it first from TMZ, and it's crazy because, the news outlets don't like going per TMZ. They just don't like it because it's the seedy side of news, but they're a massive news organization, and I just couldn't do it. It's crazy, right?
It's, look, I get it, right? It's bottom line business.
And they kept updating it and adding, and they just kept with it, and it was wild. They made millions off of that story.
Absolutely. And they were the first ones to break it. And I think that's where the credibility comes in for TMZ. So we were the first to have this. We've been out in front of stories X, Y, and Z before anybody else.
Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston.
We released all this information before anybody else. Everybody's coming to us and they're citing them as the source.
TMZ.
So it becomes one of those things where that's how they make their name. That's how they make their money. That's their niche.
And they don't care.
Right.
They don't care.
And it's a bottom line business is really what it is. I'll tell you this much. I was kind of floored by the coverage of Kobe Bryant. Now, I myself, I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan.
You were.
Big time. One of the best pair of basketball shoes I ever wore. It was in 6th grade. We got a team shoe. So it's our JV squad, and basically it's 5th and 6th graders. And we all agreed on getting the Kobe Bryant Happy Feet. one of the greatest basketball shoes you have ever worn in your entire life. They were made by Adidas. They were fantastic. I love them. They matched our uniforms perfectly because they were purple and yellow. Our uniforms were this weird blue and gold, so it kind of worked. But I loved Kobe Bryant. I love those shoes. But Kobe Bryant was not a man without flaws.
A lot of them.
He was a guy when competing, when he was in the NBA, and I was just kind of taken aback by the way he was remembered and the way everybody spoke about him in his death, because it seemed very one-sided. Because this was a guy who, during his life, when playing, he was the ultimate competitor. He had that switch, just like Michael Jordan did. He had that switch that only true competitors have. Doesn't matter what's going on. I'm going to play through a blown Achilles. I'm going to play through a blown knee. It doesn't matter. Whatever we've got to do to win the game, I'm going to do it. Nothing will stop me. I will sacrifice everything to win. And it's one of the things that I think is loved about him, but it's also one of those things that is absolutely hated and despised about him. And I think this is where him and Shaq's issues kind of arose, because Shaq is a little bit more laid back, a little bit more laissez-faire, where Kobe was the ultimate competitor.
And here's the thing that I think a lot of people in the NBA kind of decided was that most people felt in the Lakers era that the offense should have ran through Shaq. I mean, this is a big dude, 7 feet tall, monster that you can't guard him. The odds of him making a basket are a lot better because he's closer to the rim. You dump it to him, he's either going to get fouled or he's going to draw attention so that he can kick it out. So that's what most basketball purists felt. But a guy like Kobe was like, no, I want the ball in my hand. Yep. And it actually cost them the 2004 NBA title because Kobe was just jacking up shots. And for me, my relationship with Kobe was different in that I respected his game, but I always just viewed him as a Michael Jordan knockoff because, you knew that he idolized Michael and he was trying to be him. Well, there's one Michael, and I lived it as my youth. So there was never going to be, even to this day, I don't look at LeBron or Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook or Kobe Bryant. There's only one Michael, and I lived it when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Yep. So that's the age I'm like, damn, this guy is cutthroat. So anybody else never, ever in my mind was going to stand up. But after he retired, I felt like I had a lot more respect for Kobe because of the fact that he was a dedicated father and he was somebody that started to mentor youth and started to put out what I think is important in life, which is the mantra of hard work, dedication, trying your hardest, getting to the gym at 4 a.m. and trying your absolute best to be the best version of yourself. How can you knock a guy like that? Now, his competitive spirit, I can't knock it, but I just wasn't a fan of his style of basketball.
So, this is the thing, right? So he goes from being this ultra competitive guy, this sacrifice everything for the win, to in his post-career life, his post-basketball career life, he has become something different. He has become a different
mentor.
person. Right. And people love him. People gravitate towards him now. He has an ability about him to be able to reach people and connect with people. You never really seen Kobe Bryant do a ton of interviews before. So you'd have basketball games going on. So it'd be the playoffs, it'd be the finals. And Kobe Bryant was never really involved in any of that. And then all of a sudden, Kobe Bryant's sitting down with Jim Costa or whoever's doing the NBA game that day, and he's sitting down and he's giving a good interview, or he's becoming a in-studio analyst, and he's giving you really good, interesting feedback that's outstanding. And all of a sudden, he starts running these programs in these clubs, and he becomes this dedicated father, like you said, and he's an even better husband. Mind you, let's talk about him and his rape case, right? I mean, that was something that almost killed and derailed his career. And as all this is unfolding, it seems like everybody forgets about that. And nobody really ever touched on that, but that was a big deal. There's a person out there who alleges that he raped her, and nobody ever talks about this. And I get it. The man just died. So why would you? But at some point, you are the sum of all of your parts.
He was never charged or never convicted of it.
Right. But that's the sum of all of his parts.
Yes.
This is whether it be large or small, that is a piece of who he is. That's a piece of his legacy. The fact that he was able to rebound from that and become such a better human, and the growth that he showed is absolutely fantastic. To your point, there was only one Michael Jordan. There was one guy who I think was very close to being Michael Jordan. That was Kobe Bryant. I think he was close. I lived Michael as well, just like you did. Michael stabbed and killed our Detroit Pistons. All right, but there was one guy who I think was as close to emulating and bringing the same style of basketball, if not maybe a little bit more clutch, was Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was great. The problem with Kobe Bryant was sometimes his ego got in the way.
No doubt.
Whereas Michael had a huge ego, but Michael knew when he needed to defer. Early in his career, his ego stopped them from winning championships. And there came a point where he realized he needed to lean on other guys. He needed to lean on Scottie Pippen. He needed to lean on Steve Kerr. He needed to lean on Dennis Rodman. He needed to lean on Big Shot Bob. So he realized he had to lean on other guys to help him out. Horace Grant. Everybody forgets about Horace Grant. Horace Grant played a large part in a couple of those championships for the Bulls. So you gotta remember these things. And Michael knew when to turn it on, when to turn it off, and when he had to be the guy with the ball. When he had to be clutch. And Kobe knew the same thing, but I think Kobe always felt like it has to run through me. I have to be the guy. And I think, to your point, that 2004 championship, that Lakers team imploded from the inside out, and the Pistons were good enough to pick up the pieces and win that game and win that series. And it was because you had so much infighting between Kobe and Shaq. The guys couldn't put it aside for roughly 2 weeks to get to the end. Mind you, that team was stacked with some older talent, but talent. You had Karl Malone, you had Gary Payton, you had Shaquille O'Neal, who was getting up there at the time. You had Kobe Bryant, who was still killing it. You had a ton of guys on that squad who could have and should have won, but they didn't. I will remember Kobe as an absolute killer on the court. I love guys who compete like him. I love that never say die. You're gonna have to drag me off of this court, off of the ice. You're gonna have to pull me from my position because I'm just not giving it up because there's nobody better on this team than me. I love that mentality. I remember the game where he scored 82. I remember watching. I was in a bar in Hamtramck, and it was just unfolding in front of me, and everybody in the bar was glued to the TV, and he was just stroking dudes left and right. He couldn't miss. It was insane watching him put up the numbers he put up that night. Absolutely crazy. Kobe Bryant, for me, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and then I'm going to go Magic, then LeBron, and that's my top four. That's my Mount Rushmore.
Did you like how the NBA honored him? I mean, some people debated whether they should have canceled the games. I was like, you know what? In the manner in which they decided to do it, the players took it upon themselves to take violations, the 24-second clock, 8-second clock.
I thought that was fantastic, by the way.
I thought it was great.
The Suns-Grizzly game was great.
And the Lakers-Clippers game was postponed. I think the Lakers organization needs a lot more time to go through everything. So it's just a tough situation all the way around. The legend's not supposed to die at 41, and especially with his daughter, who was going to be a star. She was going to follow in his footsteps. And that was just the toughest part, too, was knowing that a young, athlete, a young light spirit is gone. And just, the tough nature that that Vanessa and the three others are just dealing with now is absolutely horrifying. And it's just tough because you just naturally go to what happened in those last moments, in a crash. And it's a nightmare. It's just a all-around nightmare because there's certain parts of it that will be viewed as, preventable, and it's just really tough in a crash with weather because the police said that they grounded their helicopters, and so why is Kobe's? And you realize he took thousands of flights, thousands of times he went in a helicopter, and that's what you realize every day. We all get in the car, turn on the key, and you never know what's going to happen. And so that's how I always look at it too: is that you do what you love, and that's why this project, this podcast, has just been so awesome for us and for me. In regards to our love of sports, it's an outlet, and we just said, hey, no one's going to put a box around us. We're going to do whatever we want, and we're going to just work hard at it and see what happens with it. And it does go to show you that, hey, if you work hard, try your absolute best, good things will happen, and that's what we want to do, is just live every day, the 16 hours you're awake, to the best of your ability, and try your absolute best to treat people with respect and love and get everything going.
Yeah, it's
tough. It's
sucks,
tough,
man. Especially because, like we were saying, he made so many inroads in his post career. He became such a different person the second half of his life that it sucks, man. It sucks because he was doing such good things and doing such great things, and to lose your daughter who's going to follow in your footsteps and basically pick up your mantle and carry it on, that blows, man. And then on top of that, to to be Vanessa and to be his 3 other girls. And now you not only lose your father, but you also lose a sister. As a mother, you lose your daughter, and as a wife, you lose your husband. That's brutal, man. You got to pick up these pieces, and you got to somehow figure out how to carry on, and you got to be able to carry on for your 3 girls. That's going to be absolutely so difficult. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be so hard. And
it's just one of those things.
It sucks.
It sucks. It happens. It happens every day. And that's why we just every single day got to tell people that we care about them and live your life to the best of your ability. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. And that's why do what you love, live your life to the best of your ability, go balls to the wall and do whatever you want. And despite what people may tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're just this and you're just that. Look, at the end of the day, there's always examples of people that are breaking through. Kobe was one of those people. Look, who would ever thought that Kobe Bryant would win an Academy Award? You know,
it's true.
You know, that's what life is about. That's what makes America great, is that life is limitless. In America, that's why people gravitate and will take boats and try will walk millions of miles to get here, because it's the land of opportunity. And people believe that if you work really hard, you now have the opportunity to make it. And that's what America is about. And I think those that try their best, really do reap the rewards. And it's just a tough story all the way around. But I think talking about it helps. And everyone will never forget Kobe Bryant. His legacy and what he put out there will live on forever. And that's all you can do.
No, I think you're right. I think he will. I mean, the guy was a freaking legend, and I think he's going to go down as a legend forever. So.
One of the best ever, and the NBA will do right by him. He'll be inducted in this year's 2020 NBA Hall of Fame, and his legacy will go on probably through his daughters and probably through everybody that knew him through the Mamba mentality. That's what you want to do, is live your life, be just like Mamba, and go balls to the wall. Don't half-ass anything. All right, cuz we're going to take one quick time out, show love to one of our sponsors, and then we'll come back and dive into a little bit of what's been going on with you and the issues that have been at hand, and really let the audience know why you're now back in town and back in Michigan. Stay with us. You're listening to Doc and Jock. One of the great sponsors of the podcast is the Motor City Pawn Brokers. The Motor City Pawn Brokers are the one-stop pawn shop when you're looking for quality, brand name new, and pre-owned merchandise, with locations in Detroit, Ferndale, Roseville, and Warren. Their mission is to deliver exceptional value. Today, head on over to MotorCityPawnBrokers.com. That's MotorCityPawnBrokers.com. And if you're in the area, you're near Roseville, Warren, Ferndale, Detroit, head on in and tell them the Detroit Sports Podcast sent you. Mark and the crew, they're dedicated to changing the stigma of pawn shops. The locations are clean. The staff is very friendly and very helpful. That's what they're dedicated to do, because you don't open 5, 6, 7 locations and put your name on a building if you don't respect the customers. And that's what Mark and the crew are dedicated to doing. Motor City Pawn Brokers. Visit today, MotorCityPawnBrokers.com. Now, I know, cuz this segment might be a little tough and emotional for you, but feel free, speak on what you want to speak on, deflect on what you don't want to talk on. Our job here at the podcast is just to keep it real and to discuss with the audience what goes on with us, and that's what we've been dedicated to doing. And I think people kind of maybe got a sense of what was going on in terms of those that are close to you in regards to your life and things like that. But to refresh everybody, you started off here in Michigan, went out to Indiana for family reasons, and then, about two months ago now, it's been.
Yeah, it's like mid-December.
Mid-December, you came back to Michigan. And so kind of set the scene, and I'll let you take the floor and let everybody know what's been happening and how did you end up back in Michigan?
So originally when we proposed this and we discussed doing this segment, I really thought it was going to be a much more party atmosphere for this.
Drinks and cakes and everything.
But kind of as the last couple of days have unfolded, much more somber, I think, is the mood. So a couple months ago, back in July
2019,
I moved to Indiana to be with my wife. She was working out there. She had a great job. And I basically gave up the radio career, gave up a lot of things to go out there because we had been doing long distance for like 18 months, just trying to make things work, and it started to get too difficult, especially on me, because I'd go out there on like a Friday night and I wouldn't end up getting out there sometimes until 3 a.m. After working 18 hours all day, so it became a long, difficult drive sometimes. There were other times where I wouldn't get out there until 9, 10 o'clock at night, depending on what time I got out of the radio station. And so you basically lose an entire day. So then I'd go there for Saturday and then basically have to turn around half a day on Sunday and drive back home. And it just got really, really difficult. And we just got a puppy back in March, and it sucked having to always leave the dog because if you're a dog owner, you love your dog. You love your dog like it's a child. It's really, really weird. That little puppy was my deuce, man. I was one who went and picked her up when we purchased her. Her first night, I was one who slept on the floor with her because she was overcome by anxiety and didn't really know where she was at. So that was my homie for sure. And I got tired of always having to come and go, and I got tired of always having to put the stress on her that she was one who basically had to handle everything. I was working and I was doing my thing. Radio career was going pretty good. Wasn't going as fast as I wanted it to go. I had a couple different conversations with a couple different bosses when I was at iHeart trying to get more so I can justify staying, and it wasn't coming and they weren't going to do anything with me. So I had to make the decision to go and give it all up. So I moved to Indiana in July and was out there until December. So basically the middle of December. So
half a year, half of 2019.
Yeah, just about a half a year. And while I was out there, I struggled to find work. I was hoping I could get back into radio down there, smaller market, be able to work on a couple things. I made some really good friends down there in radio who really helped me with quite a few things, but never really led to any jobs or any work. I couldn't really find any work anywhere, and it sucked. So I was spending like 4 hours a day working out at the gym, and ended up getting a job at the gym. What would end up happening, I guess we'll just kind of run this through in a chronological order. I came back to Michigan because my dad had some heart issues and he had to have a surgery. And when I came back here, in the meantime, I was staying in contact with everybody. I talked to you all the time. I talked to a bunch of people all the time.
Yeah, we podcasted, everything maintained here at the network and everything. It's just that you were not physically here.
Right. And when I came back for my dad's heart surgery, I don't know, I worked out at the same gym that I'd worked at while I was splitting time. And I had a couple different friends that I worked out with while I would lift weights there. And really and truly, it kind of became, we had like a weird little weightlifting family. If any of you guys have ever worked out at a gym and you have gym buddies, it's like the weirdest little niche group of people. Like you guys are constantly critiquing each other, helping each other out. Like, oh, hey, try this, try that. It's just weird. If you've ever done it, you know it. It's a little bit difficult to kind of explain. While back on that trip for that couple days with my dad, ended up running into one of my friends that I worked out with. She's a pretty cool chick. We actually grew pretty close over the previous 2 years. And after my dad's surgery and we got my dad situated, got him back home or whatever, I was getting ready to take off. Stopped in to see her real quick. And just kind of us kind of talking through different things in our relationship kind of ended up pulling us closer together. I would say you probably should never do that if you're having difficulties in your own relationship, because me going to Indiana did not solve anything in my relationship with my wife. If anything, it made it much, much worse. And I will explain why after I tell you what happened. Basically, before I left to hit the road, I ended up kissing her, and
on the cheek, right?
Yeah, and one of because that's me, right? Anyways, one of her neighbors ended up seeing it and told her fiance. So
no. She was with someone too.
Yeah, so that ended up getting messy. But let me just kind of hit the rewind button real fast. So when I moved back to Indiana, my wife had never been on her own. She was never by herself. And I think that roughly that 18 months or so that she was by herself, she grew up and she kind of became the person she wanted to be. I've been on my own since I was 17. So 17 to, we ended up getting together when I was 25. So like 17 to 25, I'm basically me. I know who I am, right? Either love me, hate me. This is what I am. This is all I am. So I knew who I was. She had to do some of that growing herself. And I think that time apart, she grew and she changed. I changed a little bit too, because again, I was by myself. And I think when we got back together and we came back together, I think there was conflict there because she had evolved. And it wasn't like you just kind of picked up and you continued where you left off. It was, okay, things are different now. So it became a constant adjustment for me. And it never really seemed to take. There always seemed to be this little bit of mounting tension between us. And it never really, it just didn't seem like it worked. So now fast forward to I think that was in August. I want to say September. So it was like late August. So now early September, her fiance ends up finding out. And I'll be honest with you, he's kind of a scumbag. I mean, I'm a scumbag, but he's a total scumbag. He ends up getting some information, and then he ends up forwarding it to my wife.
Oh.
So right before my wife goes in for hip surgery, my wife has this information in front of her. And she does a great job keeping a poker face, man. She really does, because she could have lost it on me right before her surgery. She doesn't. She basically, I waited 4 days. She waited 4 days before she threw it at me. And
what did she say to you? Did you know, like, oh boy, did you get a sense of her vibe? Like, I think something's bad is going to happen.
So this is my process, right? Like, just things hadn't been good. Like,
right.
like every day was a fight. Like
right.
every day there was an argument.
Right.
And then like I was taking care of her because she couldn't walk around. So every day there was always something
tension. It's just not a good vibe to be at.
There was always something that she was either nitpicking at me on, or she was pissed off about, or whatever. So it just kind of became one of them things where, okay, well, nothing's different today. And then she basically, and the way I operate, right? Deny until you can't deny it anymore, right? So she like threw something at me, and I was like, no, what are you talking about? Threw it back at me, no, what are you talking about? And then she showed me, and I was like, okay, cool, you got me. You know, because like, what are you gonna do at that point?
Oh.
Because like you're over here fishing, and I don't know which pond you're fishing in, and I'm not gonna give you something. It's just, I don't know, it's how I operate. Which probably isn't the best, but it's what it is. Anyways, so that was early September, and after that, things got incredibly, like, much more difficult. I was lucky enough that we had a 2-bedroom apartment, so I could go sleep in another room.
It's kind of like, okay, it's revealed, but nothing has decided and nothing's been talked about yet.
Yeah.
At that point, as to what's going to happen, it's just like, okay, I know this happened, and you're just left to wait and see what the reaction is going to be. And you're like, oh shit, you're left with this guilt and also wondering what's going to happen. Probably, and you're probably just aware that, okay, this probably isn't going to be the best for us. But you're at this point, when it was discovered, you don't know what's going on. Exactly.
So like now I'm kind of left in a lurch here, right? Trying to live every day, do my thing. End up starting a new job, so I got that going on. I got the dog I'm taking care of. Like, it's just like life is continuing to move on, but things just aren't right. And she asked me to do a couple things for her in a process of us trying to salvage whatever was going to be left. And the thing is, I wouldn't have had a problem doing what she asked, but I seen the way her father and her mother interact, and her father had a transgression. I don't really know the exact story, but years and years and years ago. And her mother has continued to make his life a living hell every day. And so much so that she makes the 3 kids' life a living hell every single day. And I wasn't going to put myself in that situation. I wasn't going to have kids and us have a fantastic afternoon, and all of a sudden mom gets a bug in her ass and gets pissed off and then wants to throw this in dad's face and then cause a giant scene in front of the kid. I just wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to live my life that way, and I wasn't going to subject myself to that. So like I had already made my mind up on that, and I had basically told her, I was like, look, if we're able to work through this, I will do whatever you want, but I need to know that you are going to be able to move past this. So she ended up asking me to do something, and I basically told her no, because in my heart of hearts, I knew she wasn't going to be able to. There was no way she was going to, because I know how she's programmed, you know? So I was like, I'm not going to do that right now. And essentially the way it worked was 3 days later, she came to me. She was like, "Hey, we need to get divorced." And
Point blank.
And I was like, okay, like that's okay. Because I understood what she was saying.
And plus that thought probably has entered your mind that this is going to be potentially how we're going to go.
I was the first one to bring up a divorce with her.
Okay.
Because I had been unhappy for quite some time. And I could feel that she was unhappy as well. Whether she did or she didn't, I don't know. But you just kind of know, man. Like when things aren't good, you just kind of know. And I had brought that up to her before anything had even happened with this friend of mine. She basically was like, "Okay, well, we have to get divorced." And I said, "Okay." And like I said, I knew what that meant. That meant I'm not going to be able to work past this. I'm not going to be able to move on. I'm not going to be able to we're not going to be able to we're not going to be allowed to live like this, and I'm going to essentially become my mother. And I was like, okay, I got it. And then she went on to explain everything I just told you. And okay, so then it was me making moves to try to get back here, try to keep my position in my job. I got to figure out if I can either stay at my job or if I can move back home, just trying to figure things out. Because at the time I wasn't making, ended up getting a nice little pay raise. They just kind of restructured the way like my contract works. So I ended up getting a nice little pay bump. But none of that was guaranteed. I had a guaranteed contract, and then I had like extra money I could make, but nothing ever really, like guaranteed money was not great, you know? So now the way my contract's been restructured, it's better, and I can do things. I can live a pretty regular life. But at the time I was like, I got to get home. I got to get to my mom's house so I have a place to sleep at night. And I was lucky enough that my company was able to send me back here, but it was rough, man. It was really, really difficult. So we ended up filing for divorce. We separated late September, ended up filing for divorce. I want to say October, November-ish. State of Indiana makes you wait at least 60 days. So this past Monday rolled around, and my divorce was finalized. I seen my wife. At the time, she was my wife on Sunday. I had to give her my dog back, which freaking blows. Don't know if I'm going to get the dog back. We were going to try this whole split custody thing with the dog, but she wants to change the script on that. So I think I got a little bit of a fight ahead of me there. But anyways, sucked, man. She ended up writing me this 5-page letter where she basically chronicled our relationship from day one. And honestly, I mean, you know how that relationship started. And even in the letter, she's like, we probably should never have, just because the way it started. And she's probably right. But dude, that letter was brutal. Like she covered a ton of stuff. Like there was a point in our relationship where she ended up getting diagnosed with a medical issue, and our intimate relationship was never really the same after that. So things kind of started to fall apart there. And then things just changed, man. People change, and it sucks. So I'm one of those guys where we ended up getting married. February 15th would have been 7 years.
Wow. Time flies.
And, the night we got married, I ended up, crawling in bed next to her, and, I was like, "Hey, you wanna," I asked her if she wanted to have kids.
The night of the wedding.
Yeah. All I wanted to do, man, was just be a dad. She told me no. And she kind of stalled me out. And then it was basically like 6 years of
negotiating, trying, and hoping, and
just
maybe
just say yeah. And she always said she wanted to have kids, man. And something changed, like priorities change, people change, and all of a sudden it got moved from being like in the top 3 down to like the top 10, to like top 15. So I don't even know if it's on the radar, man. And it's always been number 1 for me, man. Right. Like, I'm getting older. I see what you got with your girls.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
And man, it just at that right there
was kind of the thing that made me wave the white flag in our relationship, because I realized that we weren't gonna ever be in a place that she wanted us to be in, to where we could do that. And I think that's kind of what led to me doing what I did. And it just sucks, man, because she'd have been a great mom. She really would have been a great mom. And I think we would have had some great kids. The thing is, we parent totally different.
Yeah.
And like we're totally different with the way we parent. So I don't know how good of a household it really would have been. And I don't know if it would just been postponing something that was going to happen a little bit later. But it, for me, that was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, was me realizing that we're probably never going to have kids. And it's not because of
medical
me.
reasons or anything, that
it's just
choice.
Yeah. And I didn't want that. Let me give you another story. So like I mentioned before, and look, guys, I tell you all this stuff because most of you have been rolling around with us for
7 years.
7 years now.
Wow.
So, I mean, they were there for the births of your kids.
Yeah.
They were there when good things happened for me, great things happened for you. I mean, they've been there for all of it. So this is why we tell you these things. Like we let you know, because you're like our family. So sometimes it gets a little graphic, it gets a little bit gory, but this is what happens. Like I mentioned, our intimate relationship was not very good. And it had fallen way off. But we ended up having sex one night, and generally I'm king dump truck, right? I'm not going in you. No way. No chance in hell. Not unless we're actually planning for this. But I just said fuck it one night, and I laid the seed. I wasn't really worried. Like if she got pregnant, she got pregnant. Great. If she didn't, she didn't, you know? And at the time I was living here. So if she got pregnant, then okay, cool. I've got roughly 9 months to get things figured out. And I always get things figured out. It's one of those things. Like you do what you have to do, whether you like it or you don't. And I've got enough skills and enough abilities to where I can go and pretty much do anything I need to do. And if I need a better paying job, I can go be miserable doing mortgages. Do you know what I'm saying? I can do that if I really want to. I choose not to do that. And I probably undercut whatever I could make by 40 grand every single year. But it's because I choose not to do things like that because I'm not happy doing that. But if I had to, because we had a kid,
you do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. That's how it is. Anyways, so that happened, and I went home. That was like a Saturday night. I went home on that Sunday, and that Sunday evening, she went and, Sunday evening, she went and she got Plan B, and like I was like, well, what are we doing here? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? And like, I don't know. It just pissed me off so much, because why would you do something like that? There was no need, and like the chance of her actually getting pregnant were
gonna be slim anyway.
Yeah, and but here's the like I'm like 36-year-old diabetic, right?
Right?
The fact that my wiener even works right now is fantastic.
It's a blessing.
So you know, who knows if I even have any little guys that march? You know, they're probably all got two tails and are half retarded. So it's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that whatever happened, like again, slim to none.
But do you look at it too? Sometimes you always have to put yourself in the mindset of the other person, and so you have to recognize that potentially that she recognized things weren't going well. There were signs maybe that the relationship or how things would have been as a family were not going to be that good. So it's hard to accept. But yeah, probably there were some things on her side that she just really wasn't going to say. It's hard to say to someone that I don't want to have kids with you. You know, that's probably the hardest part for you.
Well,
but I don't think she just wanted to have kids with you at that point in time with how the relationship was and some of the ups and downs and twists and turns. And, you know, sometimes you do got to say, yeah, you would have been honored to have a kid with your ex-wife, but you know what? It would have been probably a rough stretch too. And you don't want to put kids through that. It's hard enough when the marriage is good to have kids, you know, with time and the stuff that they get into and the amount of work you got to do. Parenting is a full-time job and somebody's got to do it. And if it's a rocky situation, it just really makes the kid situation. And me being a therapist, that's number one thing I preach is if the relationship ends, and it's true to form. Studies have been shown. If there's a divorce and you have kids, if the parents co-parent and treat each other with respect and talk to each other and communicate and can stay friendly and not bash each other, the kids will turn out relatively fine as if the parents were together. The problem is emotions get involved, and when people separate, they just bash each other, start playing games. And the things I hear in regards to what a man and a woman will do to each other with the kids involved it makes me sick.
Yeah.
You know, so at the same time, there is some aspect where you say, you know what, we dissolve this situation and we both can grow and lead our lives in a different way, and you can still appreciate the time that you had. It's just sometimes, you know, when you look at relationships, they just the flower just it wilts. Either it grows and stays strong, or the weeds take over and it dies. And unfortunately, you know, I hate to hear that for you, but you know what? As time, I'm happy for you in that your life is going to improve. You're going to be happier. The pain is going to subside. The hurt's going to subside, and you're going to learn and grow from it and find someone else in a new relationship that will meet some of the goals that you want. And then also too, it's going to make you grow as a person too, because you know the things you did, you got to own up to it, and it wasn't the best way to do it. You could have just said, "Look, you could have just walked away."
Yeah.
Because at the same time, your behavior hurt someone. That's a hurtful thing to do. But
I myself realize I've got
you got to work on that.
I've got a ton of growing I've got to do.
But I'm seeing light for you, because when you go through something like that, even if it's for half a year or a year of tough times, it's brutal, man. You know, when you go home and you argue with your wife, it feels like the hours drag on. You can't be productive. You can't. And marriage is hard. You know, this year will be 10 years for me.
That's crazy.
And my wife threatens to divorce me twice a week. You know, but I think that it's never going to happen because we just want to keep it going. And we got kids, and I mean, if she does, you know, it'll be a shock. But you know, the thing is that it's hard. It's hard to be married because you got to manage two people's opinions, manage two people's schedules, and really try to make everything work financially and make everything work with parenting styles and everything that just comes to a marriage is super hard, you know. But I just think that sometimes when it's not the case and it's not going to go forward, it's better than to fight and drag it on. And it would have been 50 times harder if you did this in 2 years, or if you had a kid involved.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's the one thing. I think that's the one saving grace was her never wanting to have kids. As much as it hurt me, and it probably is what killed the relationship. In the end, it was probably the best thing, because now we don't have that. What we're fighting over now is a dog.
Right, exactly.
Which totally blows, man. Like,
and so
totally
no hard
blows.
feelings though, right? You just will be cordial, and no one's blocking anybody. You just, you know, hopefully that's what happens.
Bro, everybody's been blocked.
Everyone's been blocked?
Yeah,
blocked and blocked.
Yeah, everybody's been blocked. Like she.
Well, I gotta look. I don't,
you might not have been.
Yeah.
But for sure, I was. Well, actually, I think I was just unfriended or unfollowed. I was blocked on Instagram. So earlier today, before the show, I blocked her on Facebook.
All right, so I gotta, you know, the audience wants to know because they know I'm gonna ask. So what's the bro code on that? So if I DM her, is that a problem?
Do what you want, man. You want to deal with that headache? Knock yourself out.
Okay, I won't.
Hey, man, look. I thought she was really pretty, and I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, my wife won't go for that. I'm trying. You know, at 10 years, you got to spice things up. So you slip in there. You're like, okay, we're going out, hon. What's the goal for tonight? I'm like, can we bring someone in? You know, and she's like, no.
No.
Never. I have to admit, I have not enjoyed the fruits of that experience.
No?
Never once in my life. No threesome for Doc.
I was over at my buddy Jeff's house.
You?
No.
I hear it's magical. Could you imagine?
I hear it causes complications.
It's communication, like in life.
It's communication.
You got to communicate. You do this.
Wait. Are you basically allowed to touch that other person or no?
That's what it's about. For my counsel, what I give to people is who's allowed to touch what, where, when, and how.
Right.
And it has to be established beforehand.
It has to. You can't be just doing this on the fly.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I told my wife, look, okay, fine. If you want to handcuff me, I can just sit there and enjoy what you guys do. I don't know what that entails.
Just handcuff the left hand. That way I can take care of myself with the right.
Exactly. You know, so you and I are in the same boat. No threesomes for us.
No. Not yet, anyways.
Not yet.
I'm newly single. Hey, ladies.
Hey, you're single. Are you, now you can officially state as of Tuesday what has occurred?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like,
you have the document is signed.
Oh, yeah.
You are officially
yeah.
You're officially divorced.
Everything, yes. I'm officially divorced. Actually, as of Monday at like 12 o'clock. She sent me a text message. I was working out and got done working out, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So now I'm really, really sad. After a great workout, I was super sad. You don't really realize, man, how much it really kind of F's with you. Like, all of it just kind of screws with you. I don't know how many breakdowns are considered normal or reasonable, but I feel like every day I've had like one or two, and it sucks. You know, my mom's like 100% legit. Like, she's totally cool. My parents were separated, so like I'm a kid from one of them weird broken homes, and my mom, my dad weren't the best when it came to their divorce. I'll remember like hugging my mom as she was talking to my dad on like one of their anniversaries while she was washing dishes, as she was just bawling her eyes out, crying because she was so upset that they were divorced. But then like she was happy that they were divorced. It was weird. Anyways, my good thing for my mom though, like she helps. She's a great resource for me. I got a really, really good friend who has watched me just like on a kitchen floor, just losing it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it really is amazing to have really good people in your life who can help you with these things, because man, like you're a guy, you're not supposed to have these emotions. You're not supposed to feel like this, but it's like nothing but feels, man. And it sucks and it's hard to deal with and it's hard to kind of work your way through it all. But, you got good people to help take you care. And
yeah, I'm glad you did this.
So.
Feel good for you to do this? Let it out a little bit?
Yeah, man. I just kind of want to let everybody know, like I said, man, this is, everybody who listens, we don't look at you like you're a fan, or we don't look at you like you're just a listener. You guys have been through large parts of our lives.
Yeah, and so the audience deserves to know you shared it, and let's just hope we don't get in trouble from the other party.
She's been blocked, so
okay,
whatever.
Gotcha.
I mean, she might follow you, but she don't listen to our shit. I was listening to.
She does see the post on Instagram with the
description,
the podcast.
Yeah,
I posted there to the Instagram page.
Has she been liking that lately, or no?
She just no, she sees it on the live story, so I see that she sees it.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't.
Okay, we'll see.
I don't know if she listens, but anyways,
direct all complaints to Adam Strozinski.
That's right, Adam RSTROZ.
That's right.
What was I going to tell you? I was going to say something. Crap! I totally forgot. Damn.
It's okay. You bring it up if in the next situation we talk about with the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Okay. Good talk. Look, at the end of the day, you're a member of the family, and whatever you need, the podcast family, me, myself, like I said, I invited us out with you to pay, but you didn't take me up on that offer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I work till 10. You're like, can you be off by 9?
Can you be off by 9? Because that's a perfect time. The kids go to bed and we can run out.
I'm a boss, but I'm not that big of a boss.
Exactly.
So.
Get out at 9 and we can have some drinks. But okay, 10 o'clock. That's not bad either, too. 10:30 to 11:30, have a cocktail. Problem is, I'll just be like nodding off a little bit.
Yeah, you'll be falling asleep.
All right, one last time out. I appreciate you sharing that. And look, many blessings on a better future. 2020 will be a lot better, no doubt.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. To brighter and better.
To brighter and better days. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that we've said in the world of Detroit sports, head on over to the Flick Chat application. How do you find Flick? You just go over to your favorite app store, whether it be Google Play or the App Store if you have an iPhone, and download Flick Chat. What is Flick Chat, you ask? It's a group chat forum. You download the application, you join Detroit Sports' newest headquarters, and right then and there, you're able to hop into group chat conversations in the world of Detroit sports, professional wrestling. You're in control. You create your own topics. You handle your business. And it's a great place to interact with us. You can listen to your favorite podcasts. All the podcasts here are available via Flick, and they're a great sponsor of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. So head on over today. Go on over, download the Flick Chat application, and join the DSP group by hitting that little plus button, entering all lowercase DSP, and within moments, you're in Detroit Sports' newest headquarters. So I appreciate everybody that has been joining and interacting and breaking it all down. Recently, we talked about the Royal Rumble, all the wrestling events. We're talking about the NFL Draft and the Detroit Lions. So it's a great spot, and they're a great sponsor of the network. So head on over today. Don't miss out. Detroit Sports' newest headquarters, the Flick Chat application. All right, cuz Super Bowl week. You excited for it? It's going to be a massively awesome game.
This is going to be a good game.
No doubt about it.
Good game. I find it really, really strange, though, how many former Lions are involved in the Super Bowl.
That's the big thing, right?
It's so weird.
Anthony Zettel. You got Laken Tomlinson. It's unbelievable how many are actually involved. And you got Martin Mayhew coming out.
Do you realize Tease Tabor is on the practice squad for the 49ers?
Everyone is aware, cuz. And you heard, I think, we'll start quickly with this. Martin Mayhew coming out and saying he wished he would have drafted Aaron Donald. Yeah, no shit, cuz.
No kidding, bro.
Thank you. And I love the reporters digging that up. Yeah, way to rub the salt in the wounds there, right? Is that what they say? And it's just tough because everyone in Detroit is massively upset.
Did you hear what he basically said about that? It sounded like that, like that scouting room in that basically inner office area was such a freaking hot mess. Like they thought that they had Ndamukong Suh coming back, right? So let's not insulate or protect ourselves and go with what half of the scouting department wants to get in Aaron Donald, what you yourself as Martin Mayhew wants to get, and then what the rest of everybody else wants. Let's just go ahead and get the tight end. Like, how big of a cluster is that room? Like, how messy are things there? It just a complete and utter disaster. And on top of it, you end up missing out on a top tier talent like Aaron Donald. It just, like, I don't know. I think me and you are kind of the same thought process. You can never really have too many really good offensive or defensive linemen. Like, the game is won up front on both sides of the ball. Yet let's not go get this guy. Let's go grab the tight end. Okay, great, guys. Good job. It just, what a disaster.
And if you didn't pick Donald, you picked the worst of the players available.
Yes,
Odell.
There were like 6 guys that came right after Eric Ebron that are all pro players.
You got the worst player.
Yeah.
And he's not even here anymore.
No.
Eric Ebron. So I think that Martin Mayhew at that point, look, people have been giving him credit from going from 0-16 to a playoff team. Good. But at that point in time, the organization wanted to turn the page and get to the next level. And they thought that was going to be someone by the name of Bob Quinn. And that's probably where the organization always goes, is that they reach a certain point, they want to get to the next ladder. Oh, it's kind of like a trap door. They always just kind of take the step and it just falls back downward. So it's like 1 step forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And they never can get to, because now look, Jim Caldwell gets them to the postseason, and now you're at a 9-7 level, kind of in that middling range where you need to take that next step. And you get a first-year head coach who's now taking it to the ground. And people are supposed to have hope that you're going to build it. And like you said, people are now more, because I thought that us maybe sprinkling it out there that it's not going to happen would kind of cease the 49er comparison. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's like the media got so lazy nationally and just are saying, yeah, you know what, that idea is right. Let's just sprinkle that out there. The Lions are not the 49ers. It would be shocking. If it happens, it could happen. It could happen. But if you put them in your top 5 expected to happen list,
no,
I can't make you credible, because that's crazy.
That was Brian Barnwell or Burnwell?
Yeah, from ESPN. Come on.
Dude, that guy has so many hot takes.
It's like all you got to do is look at history. So the Lions, with the history of one playoff win in decades, is just this year going to draft perfectly, free agent perfectly. Everyone's going to stay healthy, and boom, they're going to make the playoffs, and win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah. Get the hell out of here.
It's like, come on, man. And I used to feel like, am I being negative? No, you can't expect that. You expect that they're going to flame out. You expect that the coaches are going to lose their job by Thanksgiving, and they have to prove us wrong. It's realistic to say, okay, just based on history, you can always be close to factually accurate if you just say, oh, the Lions are going to be 6-10 and everyone's going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's the starting point. If everything goes well and you recreate the 30%, then that narrative will go away. But yeah, Martin Mayhew, good for him. But and also too, I think I made the fairest point this week, is that what the Lions do is they give the people that are credible, they get them into the organization, but they put them in the wrong job.
Yeah.
Martin Mayhew should be the right-hand man.
Yes.
He's not the general manager of the 49ers. It's Lynch. So, that's kind of how it goes. And I think that, Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn probably should be with the Lions organization, but not in the roles that they're in. Matt Patricia can be the defensive coordinator. Let's get a real coach. Bob Quinn can be the head of scout. Let's get a real GM in here. And I think we maybe have a chance, but no, what do we get to hear? We get to get pimp slapped by Richard Sherman, who's like, yeah, Detroit offered me $20 million guaranteed. And I said, no, it's good. I want to go play and win. I'm like, oh, man. All right.
It's crazy that he was offered $20 million guaranteed and then says no to go. And I remember when he signed his contract, he was laughed at because he was his own agent for his own signing. And he took $3 million guaranteed coming off of an ACL. He was laughed at. Who's laughing now? As he is in a spot where he is so happy. And look, he was like, look, I'm not going to go to Detroit. I'm not going to go get ran into the ground. I'm not going to kill my body before we go take the field on a Sunday where I'm going to go kill my body. Like, it makes sense when you hear him talk about it. Like, it makes total sense, right? I could have took more money and been way unhappier and lost games, or I could take less money, be happier, and now I'm over here playing for a Super Bowl. It's just, to me, it's amazing to watch that progression and to watch how right he was. Do you know what I'm saying? He realized that Detroit wasn't going to be a fit for him. Yet Detroit wanted him, knowing that they weren't going to really scheme around him. Because again, it's whatever Matt Patricia wants. It's not the players he has. It's what he wants. Mind you, I feel like we've seen this a time or two. If you were a Michigan fan, you've seen this with Rich Rod. It doesn't work, guys. But you have Richard Sherman basically be like, no, I like this scheme fits me, and these guys are going to work with me. And the culture here, that's the big one. It's the culture. The culture here is what helps us win games. What they've got going on over there does not really jive with me. It just kind of it blows my mind, man.
Yeah, so now let's turn our attention to the game. Exciting game, man. Garoppolo, Mahomes, you got Andy Reid, you got lineage with the San Francisco head coach Shanahan. It's amazing. And if you get a chance on YouTube, Mike Tirico interviewed Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike Shanahan, and he kind of talks about the fact he's still dialed in. Yeah. He sees all the meetings, all the practices. He's right there in the mix, he's giving them advice, and the lineage is amazing. For me, obviously Andy Reid's story and all the trials and tribulations he's been through, that's a sentimental thing, but I'm a Niners guy. I grew up with the Niners and Giants and the rivalry, so I'm rooting for the Niners, obviously with defensive coordinator Robert Saleh being the first Middle Eastern defensive coordinator. We want to see continued success for him. So I'm rooting for the 49ers. I'm just hoping it's a good game. By all accounts now, I think the early analysis has been that San Francisco top to bottom has a little bit more talent, and on defense, they're a little bit more ferocious. And people are kind of noticing that, if the defensive line can get to Patrick Mahomes, obviously there's blueprint there in that the Lions kind of disrupted him a little bit in the game in which the Lions were just 1 4th down away from winning. And then there's film out there on how to kind of manage Patrick Mahomes. You just can't let him run roughshod. If you can hit him a little bit, if you can pressure and force him to make some mistakes, then maybe the 49ers defense can potentially limit the Chiefs. But I think it's going to be a wild-ass game. I think that Mahomes is going to throw the ball all over the place. Garoppolo is going to throw the ball all over the place, and hopefully it's back and forth in that fourth quarter, and whoever makes the final play late is going to win it all. And you have to kind of err on the side of defense. So for me, I'm a 49ers guy. I'm thinking 38-27 in that neighborhood. I think it's going to be an amazing game, but when all said and done, the Niners lift the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers as well. Again, I'm buying into the defense. The thing that is funny is the Chiefs, even though they're not as good of a defense as the 49ers are, statistically with yards against, point-wise, they're a better team. They give up less points per game by 0.1 point. So 19.3 to 19.4 points per game through the regular season. Kind of strange. I'm expecting a really, really good game here. This is kind of how I see it playing out. The Chiefs have an explosive offense. I think they're going to try to get off the ground. They're going to try to get going early. Don't be surprised if there's a couple 3-and-outs, because I think that 49ers defense is so damn good. I think they're going to make it tough for Patty Mahomes, but he's going to eventually get going. Watch for the 49ers on offense, though. This has been a team that has leaned heavily on the run since I want to say week 12. They have essentially been a team that has looked to hand the ball off instead of throw it. Don't be surprised if they flip the script here. Don't be surprised if you see Jimmy Garoppolo throw a couple early, kind of get into a rhythm, and don't get shocked if this team is throwing the ball to win the game. I think the run game is going to be important, and I think they're going to lean on it, but don't be surprised if when it comes down to it, they've got to pass the ball to win. And again, I think it's going to be a really, really close game. I'm expecting a fantastic game. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 38-31, 49ers. I do want to go 38-34. I think it'll be a little bit closer, but generally when you get to the Super Bowl, one team usually blows the other team out. I don't think we're going to have a blowout, but I think it's going to be a little bit more lopsided than what we're I guess kind of accustomed to when you got two behemoth teams going at it. So 38-31. I'm going to go 49ers.
At the time of this recording, I have no plans as to where I'm going to watch this game, but I think I might stay home and just chill, enjoy the day. I think I have church functions that Sunday, so I'll get home around 1, hopefully, and sit back and enjoy the game. And the good thing is, though, you know what I just did? I just recognized now I made an appointment for early Monday. Usually I have the day off, but I only got a couple appointments on Monday, but I made it for early. The person had the day off. 10:30.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad.
You get to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah,
Sleep some of that hangover off.
Exactly. Look, good podcast, cause. Thanks everybody for staying with us and enjoying the content. You can find the Detroit Sports Podcast and all the shows anywhere your favorite podcast is located. We appreciate all the support. Follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Thank you for spending the last 70 minutes with us. We appreciate your time. And look, if you like this podcast, you like what we're doing, feel free, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Give Adam a follow on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow his other podcast on Thursday, The Practice Squad. It's good. It's fun. A little bit lighter than this, I think.
This was a heavy episode.
Yes. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. We appreciate every single click and download. See everyone next week. Bye-bye.
This was Locker Room Talk.
Second dick.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head. They count to me. They understand. They talk to me.